Hey Rick,
Hey Megan,
how are
how you
you?
doing? I'm doing good. It's Tuesday and it's an amazing day.
It is an amazing day, and we didn't record last week because I got the flu. I was very, very sick. And then Friday, I had a little surgery on my face, so that's what you can see right there. If anybody's ever wondering what skin cancer looks like, for me, it looks like little white spots. And so I don't know. I always thought skin cancer was going to be like dark and ominous looking,
Yeah, that's what I would think too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but it
never
was
would have
like,
picked that out as a cancer at all. I would have
I know,
ignored it personally.
I
But
know.
you're good at that stuff. So
Well, I'm always just looking in that mirror. What is it called with magnification?
oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we know I had one taken off here about a year and a half
Mm-hmm.
ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, and the nurses were so nice. I was a little bit
Mm.
nervous because this one was kind of intense because it was
It's a
next to
sensitive
your
spot.
eyeball.
Yeah.
Like you have to go in and see the surgeon beforehand, and
Mm-hmm.
you got tear ducts in there, and if he sews it wrong, and then your
Yeah.
eyelids
Right.
all wonky, yeah. So this one they just bought a bought a Bing, just went in there, did it. So it's not a big deal, and yeah, that's what's been going on. That's why I wasn't recording anything with you last week because I was sick and I was preparing for this thing, and there you go.
Yeah. You're looking good today for sure. You're dialed in.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we were looking for a topic,
Mm-hmm.
and a hot topic is ADUs. And if
It
you don't
is.
know what an ADU is, it's an accessory dwelling unit, an accessory to a single family house, typically. There's an ADU, there's a junior ADU. I don't know what else they're going to come up with. And ADUs used to be like, ooh, like, oh, wow, like 1 out of 100 people had an ADU. And they usually were quirky, some older ADU that wasn't supposed to be an ADU, was supposed to be a patio room that got converted over the years, and this and that and the other thing. But
Or
now,
garage. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but now, exactly, a garage. The governor told the local cities that they have to provide or accommodate housing needs. And so it went a couple of years ago, there were some restrictions on ADUs. Like you had to be within a certain parameter from public
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
transportation,
Mm-hmm.
blah, 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 parking, this and that. And now all those restrictions have just kind of fallen to the wayside. And
Yeah.
cities
They have a
are,
lot.
yeah, cities are being forced to comply with letting people build ADUs, and people build them to house their their in-laws, their parents.
Mm-hmm.
They use them to rent out to
Mm-hmm.
make extra income, but ADUs are not cheap. And
Mm-mm.
right now, I have a client, I'm listing one here soon in Orange. And gosh, I think they spent like, I'll get the number, but I think they spent like
Ooh,
$350,000 to
must be a big
build.
ADU.
They build a nice ADU. It's a
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
bedroom with a living room, kitchen, has its own,
Nice.
laundry. I mean, the ceilings are high. It's really pretty. But yeah, and trying to get labor to build and permits and how long it takes and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing, that sometimes they're a good idea and sometimes they're just not financially feasible. But let's talk
Yeah.
about it, Rick.
Yeah, you're right about that. I get that a lot too. That's a growing trend, these ADUs, and
Hmm.
people have different ideas about that and what that involves. And the reality is, it costs money to build an ADU. It's like building a small house on the back of your house.
Hmm.
And so an ADU is not really, let's go convert my garage and throw in a bathroom and a bedroom in there. It's an ADU. That doesn't really qualify per se as an ADU. It's a great idea, but with respect to the context of an ADU, that doesn't really satisfy that requirement. But I'm getting this a lot, and I think there's some builders now, frankly, who are kind of specializing in that space where
Yeah.
they've got the designs, they know how to do it, and they just come in and do it. And so I
Yeah.
think that's getting more refined as well as they become more popular. Now, hopefully that price point might come down a little bit, but a good ADU I know will, gosh, at least 100,000, if not more,
Oh,
for
way more.
way
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
I mean, we
So,
built a pool house behind our house, I don't know, 20 years ago,
mm,
and it was 150,000,
wow.
you know.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
anything in
Unfinished.
construction is expensive. But look at my
Yeah.
remodel. My gosh,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah. I know Anaheim, I don't know about the other cities, but
Hmm.
Anaheim has a special page called ADU Anaheim. And so you can pick out predetermined plans
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
stuff. So,
Wow.
um,
Okay.
yeah, so they're trying to make it easy. So what we talked about in our research is that cities now have 15 days they can take to tell you if your application is complete, which
All right. Well, yeah, thinking it's also, I think, important to note, Megan, that these are now laws in the state of California.
hmm
So it's not just someone's opinion or just a force on someone. Now the cities have an absolute obligation to review these plans and act on them and not drag them out. And so we'll talk about this, I know, today, but there are several bills in place that help protect the homeowners in those situations. We'll talk about some of
hmm
that too.
hmm yeah, and I mean I had a homeowner
Hmm.
recently. They had a enclosed. It was built like their house was built 100 years ago, and then there was this
Hmm.
other structure that looked like it was built probably in the 40s. And I don't know what it was built as. It was on the Sanborn map, so it was there. Sorry, and there was mention of it in a newspaper because back in the old days they didn't have a lot of news. So if somebody pulled permits, sometimes they would publish that in the newspaper. Anyway, so a neighbor turned them in for having this rental unit in the back. And because I see one of the notes that you had sent me was about the amnesty window.
Hmm. Hmm.
People that built ADUs that didn't get permits, that
Hmm.
it it allows more units become legal and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but with this one, and this one was really nice and great shape, the city just had to like get in one last, say in the whole thing and made them like rewire
Mm.
the
Mm.
unit and put
Hmm.
in a separate meter. So it ended up costing about 20 grand to get it permitted, but yeah, so just because they have this amnesty law doesn't
Hmm.
mean they're gonna, bippity boppity boop, come in and permit your unit. They're gonna
Right.
probably do an inspection and
Well,
make
yeah, and
sure.
the amnesty law, just for reference, is this. It's the AB Bill 2533, and so the idea behind that, and we see this on our transactions sometimes. I know that people built an ADU 15, 20 years ago. Yeah, maybe it was the code, maybe it wasn't. It's okay, it's workable, but they weren't permitted.
Right.
And previously, the cities would really penalize you heavily for having an unpermitted unit on your property. Now they've streamlined that process where the city cannot penalize you for doing that, but they can go in and help you pull permits on your property as long as it's compliant. So that
Mm-hmm.
process is also streamlined.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, compliant is the word of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, all right, what else did you want to talk about from that? You go ahead and take it over.
No, no, I just
I
there's a
know
lot of
you
stuff
had a
going.
couple of different things.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things going around this, and it can also be a slippery slope because people have ideas about things, and so yeah, yeah, those are bills that have been passed, but how does that impact their ability to get a loan? There's
Mm-hmm.
lots of things that a government agency will pass. Well, that's great on paper, but what are you going to do with that? Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, one of the bills is AB 1033, which is called the ADU condo shift.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is that you can have an ADU, and the whole idea behind this concept is to create more housing opportunities
Mm-hmm.
in these in our area. So with the ADU shift on the condo shift, what they really are referring to is, look, build a really nice ADU on your property, like in your example, one for 300,000, really, really super cool, and they're renting it out, but they go, wait a minute, that's worth a lot of money. Can we just refinance that part of it? Can we sell it? Well, under this bill, they say, yes, you can sell that unit as a condo. Well, sounds great on paper, sounds great in theory, but here's the catch. To sell it as a separate unit, you have to have a separate parcel. So you have to be able to have the city essentially subdivide your lot into a separate parcel with a separate address to qualify as a condo. And I think we can all agree that in reality, that's probably not going to happen. And so that's what's going to happen there. So it's a great idea, but I don't think in practice it's going to work really well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. It says that that this has really only been adopted in California. And the key locations, San Jose, San Diego, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen this opportunity come up, Plus, oh my gosh, what a mess. Like, can you imagine how much money is it going to cost to create a separate APN, And then, like, what do you
huge.
do about...
And time.
Yeah, because, like, all these properties, even if you have multiple homes on one parcel, you still have the same water meter, the same water line. You've got to get your own water line, your own gas line. Because a lot of the ADUs, if they're all electric, then they probably have their own electrical panel and meter. But if they're older and they have gas, and then you're going to have to separate the water line. It's just bananas,
Yeah, so that's again, it's out there, but it's just not one that, in my opinion, is very practical, not really usable.
And I was asking you too, so if somebody's buying a house that has an ADU that's rented out and it's legal, it's got a certificate of occupancy, it's legal, and there's a history, let's say a 1-year history of collecting checks on that ADU, I mean, can somebody still buy it as their primary residence and then consider that income as part of the income to purchase the house?
Yeah, yes, I think so. It's still uncharted territory, Megan, but the reality is this is a growing trend.
Yeah.
And I do believe that, but it's again, the key here is licensing and compliance. And so if it's a licensed compliant ADU with permits, they would be able to accept rental income to offset the mortgage payment in those examples.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be a problem with that. It's again, it's very, very new. It's a little bit untested, but I think over time will become more universal. I also want to add one more thing. It's not part of these bills, which there's lots of stuff behind the scenes that you don't see, that people don't see. And here's one of them. I had one of these a while back, actually. Let's take another example. Let's say someone has an older house in a great neighborhood. If it's a bigger, these older houses typically have bigger lots. So they go, yeah, I'll put an ADU back there. Great idea. So let's say their house, 1,300 square feet, nice home, right? But the backyard's big. So they go, well, heck, I'm going to go all out. I'm going to build a really great ADU in the back of this house. I'm going to live in it because it's really super cool. It's all brand new. And they build like a, 1,800 square foot ADU. Super cool. Here's the catch. If the ADU is larger square footage than the primary house, you cannot get financing. You're out. That's it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to build an ADU larger than your house?
Well, if the city permits it and you can and let's say you do a refinance to pull cash out for an ADU or get a line of credit, you can do that. No one's going to stop you. And if the city allows the permits to build that much of an ADU, yes, you could do that. But what they don't know at that point now is that when they go to sell their house, it's not sellable. You cannot get a loan on that. So so it's important to know that if you're going to build an ADU, the ADU cannot be any larger square footage than the primary house. That's the key. That's a little known law.
Just looking, and it says in California,
or guideline, I should say.
Yeah, it says that in general, that your ADU is capped out at 1,200 square feet, regardless of the size of your home, but it cannot exceed the property's maximum allowable floor area ratio, which is 50% of the floor area. So, yeah.
So I think in that example, if somebody had a 1,100 square foot house and they built a 1,200 square foot ADU, that's going to create a challenge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I guess if they wanted to build something bigger than their primary residence, they would have to build it not as an ADU. They'd have to build it as something else, you know?
Well, I don't, yeah, I mean, you could do it. I'm not sure how you could build it as a second unit on the property, but I think it only way, if it's going to be livable, the only way I think you could probably do it with regard to permits would be as an ADU. Unless someone's building like a home office in the backyard with the, let's say it's got a bathroom and a nice office set up and it's air conditioned and it's plumbed and all that stuff. I mean, you could argue that's a room addition or an addition to the house, and maybe argue that you can turn that office into a one bedroom. It's just a bedroom and a bathroom, but I don't know that would qualify. It might be qualifying as an ADU.
Well, that's good to know. That's lots of good stuff to think about and to know. And yeah, it's when you see a property with an ADU. I saw in the MLS now there is just a button that you click that says ADU. And so if you're listing a house with an ADU, you click that button so that you can enter the information properly.
Wow, cool.
Because I was looking at some comps and I found one that had an ADU, but the agent didn't know how to list it, and so they didn't have it with that button clicked. So if somebody was specifically looking for an ADU and they clicked that button, their property wouldn't come up, you know?
Wow. I think the idea of an ADU is a great concept in a lot of areas, and rightfully so. But I think you have to just be aware of what the limitations are and what to expect in that process, both in terms of cost, compliance, and future value of your home.
Yeah, how long it's going to take.
A lot of things to consider.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Rick. Well, I think that's really good info for today, and yeah, it's a changing landscape, but it's something that could be very useful to people, because to house your aging parents, gosh, I think it's like at least 6,000 a
Oh
month.
my gosh, if not more. Yeah, it's upwards of 10,000 a month, depending upon where
It's
you're at.
crazy. Yeah, so it's a good option for people,
Yeah,
and we know affordability is very difficult, so this definitely helps.
a lot,
Yeah.
no doubt.
All right, Rick, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Megan. See you next
Thank
week.
you.
Take care. Bye.